Alright guys, so we're going to indulge into the topic of tobacco and its effect on the respiratory system. But before we do that, I want everyone to just relax. Alright, close your eyes if you want. And I want you guys to take deep breaths in and out. So inhale, and then exhale. Inhale, exhale. Now what I want you guys to do now is to not fully pinch your nose, but just enough to block a little bit of airways. I want you to just do the same thing. Breathe in and out. Breathe in and breathe out. Alright, you guys can stop. So what was the difference?
I felt kind of panicked. I don't know about anyone else when I couldn't breathe in as well as I could when I wasn't covering my nose.
I felt like I wasn't focusing on relaxing. I was like, oh my god, this is so hard to breathe. I
Yeah.
should focus on my breathing opposed to like just trying to relax and just freak out everything.
Okay.
I think it's the same sensation you get when you have a cold, and then you're like, I just wish I could breathe clearly again.
Yeah.
You know, and I think we take it for granted. Was as soon as our cold is done, we feel like, oh my gosh, I can breathe. It's amazing.
When you get cold, you're like, I don't know what it's like. I've never can't breathe.
Exactly.
So all your answers are good. Basically, what that exercise shows you is how your lungs feel when there's tobacco present. And the continuous tobacco smoking that's done in your lungs, it feels restricted, it's panicked, doesn't know what it's doing, and it does all kinds of stuff in your body. So I'm going to have a little short video here. It's actually a fun one. Just describing what lung function is all about.
Why do some homes sell fast food top dollar while others don't sell at all? I'm Barbara Corcoran.
You guys hear okay?
The best thing to do when you've been running is to breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth. In, out, in, out. That's it. Where does the air go when I breathe in? When you breathe in, air enters your nose. The inside of your nose warms the air. And what happens then? The warm, clean air goes down a tube called the windpipe and into your lungs. Your lungs are in your chest, and your ribs make a kind of cage around your lungs that protects them. But how do my lungs work? The muscle under your lungs is shaped like an upside-down saucer, and when you breathe in, it flattens down, and your ribs move out. Fresh air comes into your lungs. How do I breathe out the air? When you breathe out, your ribs move back. The muscle under your lungs pops up again, and used air is squeezed out of your lungs. Why do I have to breathe air in? Your body needs air to stay alive. The air you breathe in has oxygen in it. What's oxygen? Oxygen is a gas. You can't see, taste, feel, or smell oxygen, but your body needs it to live. And what about the air that I breathe out? The air you breathe out has all the things that your body doesn't need anymore. Oh. I'm tired. That's a great big yawn. Why do I yawn? Well, a yawn is the body's way of getting more air to make you feel more lively. When you yawn, you breathe deeply through your mouth and your lungs fill up with air. I've got lots of air in my lungs now. Come on then, I'll race you home. You can't catch me! You can't catch me!
A little cute video there explaining what lung function is all about. Just a little basic. So each day we breathe about 20,000 times. And all of this breathing couldn't happen without the help of the respiratory system, which includes the nose, throat, voice box, windpipe, and lungs. With each breath you take in air through the nostrils and mouth, and your lungs fill up and empty out. As air is inhaled, the mucous membranes of the nose and mouth warm and humidify the air. So gases. Oxygen is the most important for keeping keeping us alive because the body cells need it for energy and growth. Without oxygen, the body cells would die. Carbon dioxide is a waste gas that is produced when carbon is combined with oxygen as part of the body's energy-making processes. The lungs and respiratory system allow oxygen in the air to be taken into the body, while also enabling the body to get rid of carbon dioxide as air is breathed out. So respiration is the exchange of oxygen from the environment for carbon dioxide from the body cells. The process of taking air into the lungs is called inspiration, and the process of breathing out is called expiration. Even if the air you breathe is dirty or polluted, your respiratory system filters out the foreign matter and organisms that enter through the nose and mouth. Pollutants are breathed or coughed out, destroyed by digestive juices, or eaten by macrophages, a type of blood cell that patrols the body looking for germs to destroy. Lung diseases. Lung diseases are some of the most common medical conditions in the world. Smoking, infections, and genetics are responsible for most lung diseases. So that brings up my discussion question. So smoking is the most preventable cause of death. What are some of the reasons why somebody would start to smoke? And we'll just go around. So, yeah. Stress, okay. Sonia?
Popular fad, everybody's doing it.
Popular fad.
Yeah, I was gonna say like peer pressure. Also, it could be something that everyone else in your family does, so it's kind of like inherited almost.
So, like when a kid sees his parents do it.
Yeah, if all your family, so if all your parents smoke, your grandparents, your aunts, your uncles, then you feel like you don't know any different.
So I mentioned genetically. Do you think that if you have a parent that smokes while you are not conceived yet, do you feel you have some sort of gene that makes you more inclined to smoke?
Yes.
No.
No?
No.
Okay, why?
Well, I know that it has bad effects on a woman who's pregnant, so it'll have bad effects on the baby. But that doesn't necessarily mean that as a child, I know that I've heard cases where babies have been born and they've had to put them on nicotine, like a small, very, very, very small dose, because their
otherwise they
body's
have
dependent
control.
on it.
Yeah.
But if we're talking in terms of like being a teenager, and you obviously didn't smoke when you were a toddler, but if you grow up and you're, you know, in grade 7, grade 8 is now the norm, and some friends are smoking but you haven't started yet, I don't think it's like genetically in you to be like, I'm going to smoke now because I need nicotine. I think it's something that obviously you wean off of if there is that situation where there is a baby that's born on a heavy dose of nicotine, you wean it off. But I don't think later on in life it's a decision that's based on when you were in the womb.
Okay. Anyone else want that?
What?
Nothing.
I'm thinking about what you said, because I like the idea that it's not that way, but then also a lot of the things that you do can affect your genetics and cause mutations. So then you have to play from the side that, yeah, if a mom was smoking beforehand and now has these mutations in her body and then tries to conceive, it can have a lot of effects on either A, trying to get pregnant, when she becomes pregnant and passes those mutations on to her child. So you have to play from that view, and maybe it does have an effect.
Yeah, I think that it does, to some degree, affect if a child's going to smoke in the future, because I feel that, I don't know, I might be completely wrong here scientifically, but I feel like there's some kind of gene that will like be triggered, perhaps when you, say, smell smoke, somebody around you is smoking, and you smell it, and it might trigger something that leads back to when you're in like the womb or whatever, and your mum may have been smoking.
So it's good to point this out that all three you mentioned the mom. What about the male?
I think the same goes for what I was talking about. If it is a mutation that occurs, then it can be passed down both ways. Depends on what that gene is. If it's, you know, for the male because you have an XY, if it's only in the X, then no, you don't pass that on. If it's a male,
I think too, even with secondhand smoke.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I mean, you can't be around a pregnant woman because she's inhaling your smoke.
Yeah.
So I think it
That
applies
also has
to
a big
I
impact.
think it applies to men too. And before all this research came out about secondhand smoke, and you could never smoke in your life, and then there's people who end up with lung cancer.
Yeah.
Before, I would have said, it's not as bad, but now it's obviously been made known it is just as bad as other smoking.
If not worse, because you're
Directly
smoking,
inhaling
you're
smoke.
inhaling all the bad stuff. So although when you smoke, you get the filter. So the person smoking is getting the filtered air, and then I breathe it out, and you're getting all of the bad stuff because now you're not having that filtered smoke toxins. You're getting all the bad toxins that I breathed out, and you're breathing them in unfiltered right into your system. So secondhand smoke is by far worse.
All right, I'll move on. So tobacco. Tobacco, like I said, is the leading preventable cause of disease, death, and disability. And I know it's been mentioned, but what is the main chemical in tobacco that causes addiction? Anyone just want to say it? They were mentioning, it was mentioned already.
THC.
No.
Oh, what did you say? What's the main chemical?
The main chemical in tobacco that creates the addiction.
Oh, nicotine.
Nicotine, yes. So nicotine increases levels of a neurotransmitter called dopamine. Dopamine is released normally when you experience something pleasurable like good food, your favorite activity, or spending time with people you care about. When a person uses tobacco products, the release of dopamine causes similar effects. So this effect wears off quickly, and it causes people who smoke to get the urge to light up it again, and more of that good feeling, which can lead to an addiction. So when nicotine enters the body, it initially causes the adrenal glands to release a hormone called epinephrine, which is called adrenaline. The rush of the adrenaline stimulates the body and causes an increase of blood pressure, heart rate, and breathing. So, most of the harm of the body is not from the nicotine, but from other chemicals contained in tobacco or produced when burning it. I'm just going to go around and ask, do you know any of these other chemicals? There's 5 of them to be correct. Yeah.
Like tar.
There's one, yeah.
Tar,
That was the only one I knew. Tar. I don't know the other one.
Actually,
Okay, well, the 5 are carbon monoxide,
Okay.
tar, like you said, formaldehyde, cyanide, and ammonia.
Wow.
Those are all in cigarettes, guys.
That's gross.
So people are smoking. So the activity I'm going to provide is you will be given a lung disease that smoking tobacco has an effect on. You have to keep it to yourself because it's going to be a little bit of individual work. And what you're going to do is you must make up 3 clues for your classmates that have and have them guess what it is. So my example is this. I'm able to mask my symptoms with a cough. I have 2 types, non-small and small. I am malignant by definition. Does anyone know what that is?
Cancer.
Cancer, lung cancer, yes. All right, so it's all going to be random. I'll start over here. Big one. So you guys can go on your computers and you can search this stuff, and I will give you pieces of paper to use for clues. Need a pen?
Yep.
There we go.
Thank you.
Yep. And you can search. I'll give you guys about 2 or 3 minutes. You guys come up with little clues, and we'll discuss your findings.
Cute.
Just let me know when she's ready. Not ready yet? Okay. We have interesting facts about the disease, statistics, prevalence in certain population. Basically want to stump your peers, but again, scientific. Just wrap up your clues when you can. Yeah, you're good?
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll start off with Lucy because she was first finish.
Okay.
And just announce your clues and see if anyone can guess it. On the board is some of the lung diseases that smoking can affect. Alright?
Okay, so it's all types of things that happen as a result. So I have difficulty breathing. I sometimes have attacks, and I may have to use a device to help me breathe.
Sonia.
Asthma.
Yeah.
That's right, good
Those are
job.
great clues.
Sonia, you want to do yours now?
Okay, so my first clue is that it's a disease that makes it difficult to breathe. My second clue is that it's progressive. And my third clue is that there's two forms of this under the umbrella, chronic bronchitis and emphysema. What am I?
So those are the
Those are some of the
COPD.
Yes.
COPD is the correct answer.
Okay. So my first one is I can be thought to be pneumonia due to mucus. I will eventually need an oxygen supply. And I do have a shortness of breath all the time.
Cystic fibrosis. No?
Chronic bronchitis. Darn.
Emphysema.
Emphysema.
All right.
Alright, good job, guys. And that is my lesson.
That's why I stumped you.
Actually, just so you guys know, cystic fibrosis doesn't get affected by fat.